31 prompts to get you through the month, to get you painting, and 31 videos to get you inspired. Photo references, all the things you need can come via email, but let's watch the video clips to get you going.
All right, so I have some of those greens here. I'll start with the black, kind of stay in the same vein. And let's say I've got some berries in here. I don't know, some twigs with berries. Don't want to necessarily make it perfectly symmetrical. Got a dark teal that could translate some of this wood. And the way that I do that is with swirls that then go around them. So let's say if I've got a knot here, then I create more lines around it. Grateful that nothing in nature is perfect or perfectly symmetrical. Nothing is probably a stretch, but a lot of times our eyes see things being perfect when really they aren't.
Let's say that these masking fluid lines are the grout, so to speak, of our mosaic, right? They're not the tile part. So there's going to be a rhythm to it, but it's also going to be a little random. When you create a mosaic with bits of different tile, you might have some that are rounder, some that are squarer. There's a beautiful kind of inconsistency in that art form. Let's say this piece is a little wider and this one's a little smaller. We want that paper to come into play. All right, let's do these tires. I'm going to do it in a playful way, giving them kind of fat tires because I'm using the width of my brush to create that round circle, and then cleaning up any edges that need to be cleaned up. Just do 2 big paint strokes. Nice and crisp and straight. I'm going to fill this just with water so that I don't have a crisp line before it gets too late. These almost neon colors tend to stain on the paper, so they're harder to lift. I don't know if you've noticed that. And to represent that whitish rim on the watermelon, I'm just going to let my brush that has hardly any paint there just keep going down. So I've got kind of an off pink there. In truth, it's kind of like an off green, but once we put in the green on the other side of it, they'll bleed. All right, hoping this is still wet so that, nope, it's not. When I go around, it'll blend. And since it didn't, well, I can just wash off my brush and just add a little water to the edge to soften it up. So I want to have that bit of a blend that happens there. We go from white to green. this is when I really start to define what this house is like. So I know it's a 2-story. And then I always ask myself, okay, do I have enough space for 3 windows? I don't feel like I do. Plus, I think it's more realistic to have 2, unless you have something like this that has a lot of windows to it. And you know what? Up here, I'm going to give it a porch. So it's going to need a little cute little doorway for said porch. And then we get to decide, does the door sit right in the middle of the house, main door? You can also, send it off to the side and have a nice wide window on one side. For the garage, I'm just going to use the edge of my brush. This is kind of practice for the next one, because this is the outlining technique. To like some half square shapes to just show a little bit of texture for a garage door, edging with my brush. So I'm using Horizon Blue by Mission Gold. That's that light blue that you see that I use first. The darkest blue that I'm using is Slate Blue by Dr. P.H. Martins. It's one of my very favorite fluid watercolors. It's just kind of a classy blue, has a tiny bit of green, kind of a blue jean color. And another color that I really like to use, Ultra Blue by Dr. P.H. Martins, is in the other corner. Fluid watercolors, of course, are going to flow better in your gradient. But if you notice, the Horizon Blue, that is a tube paint, works just fine. It's just a matter of mixing it with water on your brush so that what hits the page is fluid. Now, working from one corner, I'm going to make it really wet. I want to work really fast. So create large areas, because once we grab our paint and start from one corner and let it dissipate downward, smoothing out some of those edges as you want to, I want to play a little bit with how much we can control with our brush by creating that transition and how much we can let the paint go. And it's going to create a little bit of a tie-dye effect, and in some areas it'll be nice and smooth. Now I need to work fast as I'm working from corner to corner, because I want my colorful transitions to meet in the middle. Let's use that same green over here, creating kind of a framing effect to our painting. If it gets too blue, you add more yellow. If it gets too yellow, you add more blue. And create a gestural feel of what this ivy would look like. Now, the way that I'm doing that is by saying, okay, ivy leaves are kind of like 5 spikes on a leaf. And just changing my direction so that they're connected. I almost want to get a bigger brush, because I do want to, I'm adding in a different kind of green, because I do that. I use different greens. What I was saying is I want to use my other brush, because I want this to go nice and fast. It's so much easier to stay loose when you're using a larger brush. Some of these might be just simple dabs, so I'm not doing the entire leaf, so to speak. I love how it just trails on these rooftops, so pretty. And I also want to be adding a little bit of water from time to time so that those colors blend and keep oozing into each other. Those are all the prompts for week 2. Remember to share your work on social media and use the hashtag Boldtober so we can all see. These prompts go beautifully with Inktober. If you're already involved with that one, just tag this one as well, and we can all see each other's work. And sign up for Tip Tuesdays so that you can get all the goodies to get you prepared throughout the month of Boldtober.